Jay Quellen. No Jay Quellen here? Balake. Where is Balake at? Ron.
Ron here. Happy Tuesday, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Scientology volunteer ministers have been busted in a major way, faking, falsifying, exaggerating photos of providing aid to victims of Hurricane Ian here in South Florida. Why is it that Scientology seems to have to lie about everything all of the time? There are some questions that maybe it's just not possible to know the answer, like, why did Grant Cardone block me on Twitter but not Instagram? When is the FBI gonna raid Cardone Capital? No one can answer these questions for sure. So let me show you what was exposed yesterday on Stephanie Hutchinson's blog called Confront and Shatter, Exposing the Truth About Scientology. Wherefore art thou, David ODonnell? David ODonnell is a Scientology actor. I would call him a celebrity because Scientologists think he's a celebrity, but I don't think anyone outside of Scientology knows who he is. And it looks like David ODonnell has posted on Instagram that he and a handful of other Scientology volunteer ministers have been busting their butts helping victims of Hurricane Ian down in Fort Myers. Now, wouldn't it be incredible if they weren't actually in Fort Myers? Because that is exactly what Stephanie Hutchinson was able to determine. These guys aren't in Fort Myers. One of the most obvious and easiest ways that Stephanie was able to determine this is David posted this photo of a stop sign and some street signs knocked down and underwater, and you can see Horseshoe Ave. So where's Horseshoe Ave in Fort Myers? Well, there is no Horseshoe Ave in Fort Myers. There is, however, a Horseshoe Ave in Northport, Florida. And Northport, Florida is exactly where all of these volunteer ministers went to and where they took all these photos. David also posted this photo of them outside of a Ross in this commercial shopping center, and Stephanie was able to find that exact same shopping center with all the same storefronts, again located in Northport, Florida. In the background of the stop sign photo, you can see this residential home. Stephanie was able to use Google Maps to determine that, yes, that exact home on that street does exist, again, in Northport, Florida. So Stephanie asked the question here, why the lie? It seems so senseless. Northport, Florida is about an hour north of Fort Myers. Why not either just say you're in Northport or just go the extra hour down to Fort Myers? Now, the answer for why not just say you're in Northport is, at least according to the photos that these guys took, there was no hurricane damage in Northport. That's why you wouldn't say you were in Northport. And the reason you wouldn't go to Fort Myers is that you're not actually interested in helping people. You're just interested in a photo op. So let me show you some of the things I noticed in these photos. Now, in this photo, the stop sign is above the water. In the exact same photo upload, David also included this other shot of the stop sign, where the stop sign is now under the water. Guys, one of these volunteer ministers literally said, you know what would make this photo look more hardcore? If that stop sign was under the water. And they pushed it under the water and took another photograph of it, and the guy was just dumb enough to upload both photos in the same Instagram post. And if you think maybe it's just two different photos of two different stop signs, it's not. This photo of the stop sign, you can see you're looking onto the house. The other photo with the stop sign is taken from the complete opposite angle, and someone shoved it under the water. And then there are the boats. Let's look at the boats. So we've got here a flooded residential street. This must be a really inaccessible area. People are stranded in their homes or something, except not so much. You can see over here on this truck's tire, this is maybe a few inches, 3 to 4 inches of water. These guys are literally having to push the boats down the street because the water is so shallow, you can easily walk down the street. And so what is in these boats? What are the supplies these volunteer ministers are urgently delivering to victims in need? It's nothing more than just bottles of water. They are delivering bottled water in boats in a residential neighborhood that has 3 to 4 inches of flooding on the streets. Never mind whether these boats are necessary or not. I mean, keep in mind, instead of pushing a boat down the street, you could just drive the truck down the street and deliver the exact same supplies that you're putting in a boat, except a boat looks like you're rescuing people. Now let's think for a moment about the fact that they're delivering water in a residential neighborhood. Guys, Northport, Florida didn't lose water. These homes don't lack water. These homes have running water. And yet that is what's being delivered. I would venture to guess they didn't even give anybody water on that day, because if they did, we'd have photos of it. The guy in this photo here, he probably drove up and is like, what the hell are you guys doing? What's with the boats? What's with the cameras? What's with the t-shirts? Now notice that every home that appears, and there aren't many of them, but every home that appears in any one of these photographs is several feet above the water level. You have to wonder how they even decided to go to this neighborhood. Now I'm just speculating here, but it wouldn't shock me to find out that one of these volunteer ministers actually lives in the neighborhood and sent the word out, hey guys, the streets in my neighborhood look really flooded. We should come here and check on people and deliver water, and we can take a photo op. I don't know for a fact that that's what happened, but don't you have to wonder, how do you end up an hour and a half south of Clearwater in a random residential neighborhood that doesn't actually need any help? How do you select that specific location for your photo op? We have this photo here where this woman is just tickled pink that she found a section of the road that is particularly deep and makes this look like a particularly treacherous area to be working in. She looks absolutely excited to be in knee-high water. And then of course you have this photo. You have to wonder if he realized he was taking a photo of another guy taking a photo. Because at first glance, you know, it looks like they're helping people in a massively flooded and secluded area, except, uh-oh, what's this in the background? A guy in about ankle-deep water kneeling down trying to take a dramatic photograph. And that is what the volunteer ministers have become, nothing but a group of people wearing yellow t-shirts that go around to disaster zones or pretend disaster zones, trying to look for the most dramatic photographs to take that they can use to put out in press releases to try and give Scientology's reputation a boost, but it never really works. I mean, here we can see at least 10 volunteer ministers. There's not one downed branch, there's not one downed tree, there's no broken glass, there's not even any debris in this giant parking lot. But boy, are these guys thrilled to go and get some exciting photographs. And then here is honestly my favorite. Here is David ODonnell looking like he has been busting his butt, putting himself into danger to help others. But let's take a look at something. His shirt is soaked. You might think the man's been working hard out in the heat. He must have been sweating his butt off. Guys, look, the front of his t-shirt is completely dry. I'll tell you what this looks like to me. This dude slipped in some water, maybe 6 inches, 12 inches of water, caught himself with his arm, got up, realized it made him look kind of badass, would make for a good photo, and then he took a selfie. And this is the specific photo that he captioned. Helping out after Ian in Fort Myers. What a rewarding experience to help people. Nothing like that feeling when you see an elderly woman in front of your face and she's crying and saying thank you because you and your friends were able to help ease her suffering. That's a day well spent. What did you do, David? Did you mow her lawn for her? How did you ease anyone's suffering handing out bottled water to homes that did not lack water? If these volunteer ministers had any interactions with anyone, even similar to what David is describing there, they would have taken photos with that person, they would have taken a video with that person, they would have definitely done something. The fact that in all these photos, all we see is a bunch of people standing around in ankle-deep water, pushing around boats filled with bottled water, means these guys didn't do a damn thing to help any victims of Hurricane Ian. So why does Scientology have to seemingly lie about everything all the time? It's because Scientology is a fraud, and its front groups are frauds, and its Bridge to Total Freedom is a fraud, and its leaders are frauds. And so that's all Scientology can do. Lie. Lie to its own members, lie to the world at large, lie to the city of Clearwater, lie to the IRS, lie to the police, lie to the courts. They lie all the time. So when Scientology finally does put out its press release for everything they did for Hurricane Ian victims, compare whatever they say in their press release to what you see in these photos, and let's see how they compare. All right, that's all I have on this. Thank you for watching, everyone. Thank you to all of you who watched until the very end, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe right here. Bye.